Good morning, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to be installing a couple of bits on the Himalayan. What bikes they are, they're fantastic, aren't they? I'm going to be putting a few things on there, mainly a fuse box to run any accessories you want to add to it, whether it be alarm, heated grips, spotlights, charging USB points, whatever you want to put on there. So a little fuse box runs via a relay, and that will all be going in shortly. Some of the things you might need to do the job: well, you will definitely need these Lucard terminals, specifically the blade type to go onto the terminals of the relay. Decent pair of crimps, really decent pair. These are a nice ratchet ones. They do the job, they never fail. Job done. Okay, you're going to need Stanley multimeter. This is what I'm putting in. It's a fuse box. Let me just take the cover off. Not bad, eh? One-handed. There's the fuse box. You've got your 6-way for your fuses to go in. Run your feed in there, neutral goes out there. I'll show you how to do all that in a bit. This is pretty much Electrics 101. There's your different fuses for what different circuits you want to put in there. These are numbered, these posts. What I might try and do is highlight the numbers. I've got a white pen in the shed. I might try and highlight those numbers so you can see them more clearly. But that's basically what happens there. Your 30 is your 12 volt in, okay, and the 87 there is your switched terminal. So let me see if I can see that. There's your 30, power in, switch terminal, permanent terminal when it's off. So 12 volt in, 12 volt out when it's turned off. When it's turned on, 12 volt in, 12 volt out. That's off. Okay, and then there's your switch terminals, which is basically the solenoid there, which throws that switch in and out to fire those two terminals on and off. Alright, I hope you understand that. If not, rewind it a bit and listen to it again. Okay, so anyway, this side, the switch, you just need neutral or earth. Everything that is electrical needs a neutral and earth, live and neutral to operate. So there's your earth or your neutral there, and there's your 12 volt in via whatever you want to fire this baby up with, whether it be the side lights when you put your key in and turn on. If on the Himalayan the lights come on immediately as soon as you turn the key, so that will be in accessories. So that's what I'm going to come off of, just the rear light feed. So I'm going to tap that into there, terminal 86, which is, can't see it actually through this. Let's have a look. There we go, there's 86 there. So 85 common, switch line there. Okay, so those two, neutral, switch line in from your brake light or wherever, not your brake light, your tail light as soon as you put your key on. So that then fires the solenoid which connects these two, the two outside ones. Okay, 30 and 87. And then when you turn the ignition off, this pin in the middle becomes live from that 12 volt supply. Okay, so then you could connect your cable there, which goes to your trickle charger if you so wish to. I might do it. I'm like this here. I don't know. I might do it. Anyway, that's the basics today. Install the fuse box via the relay. I have a supply feed with an inline fuse, so battery through the fuse to there. To the relay to there, and then away we go. All right. Now I hope I'm not making this too complicated. You're going to need a decent toolkit. I use copper slip grease. Everything I take off I put back on copper slip grease. Now at this point in the video I would like to say sorry, Royal Enfield. Those of you that watched my last video when I installed these brackets, you will remember that this bolt snapped in here, the one that holds the indicator on. Now if you read your Himalayan manual, it does quite clearly state that if you remove any fixings, do not reuse them, replace. So it's been fitted once, it's been torqued up, I've come along, undone it, put it back on, put a bit of energy into it, and it's just sheared straight off. Okay, perhaps it's a bit toffee, but at the end of the day it does state in the handbook, replace fixings if you take them off, reuse new ones. Now I don't think that applies to to the side screws and bits and pieces like that. I think it's just stuff that's been torqued up. So yeah, fair comment I suppose, but sorry RE. Right, this is what I'm going to be fitting to the handlebars. It is a 12 volt cigarette lighter, it is a USB outlet 2x2 and a voltmeter. If you notice, I don't know if you can see that, see if the plastic that is a bit transparent there, so when that's in place, keeping it all nice and dry, you can still see the readout, hopefully, on there. Anyway, I have put some pictures on previous to this video. I will add them in a second. Actually, this wasn't on here. This was on here. Okay, now I needed that inline fuse for the relay and this gubbins, so I didn't need that to be fused as well. So what I've done is I've used a nice 2-core blue and brown. I undid this bit of kit, 6 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, took it apart very gingerly. Now you have to take this sticker a bit off of there, because that sticker sort of holds those two sections together when you've got all the screws out. I was tugging away and thinking, what's holding it together? It was that sticker, so I took that off, all come apart. You'll see in the pictures when I add them in a second. Unsoldered this old cable, resoldered this new one on, put it all back together. Jobs are good, and so that just runs straight the way back down the frame into the fuse box. Now let's get on with it. No point mucking about, is there? Right, seats need to come off, tank needs to come off. Tank needs to come off simply because I'm running the cable up through the chassis, up and around onto the handlebars to feed the USB charging point. Okay, I was thinking of running a multi-core up, so I could come off of there with a couple of cores for that. Coming off with a couple of cores for the temperature sender unit, which I'm going to relocate around here somewhere. Couple of cores for the spotlight switch, you know, things like that. Okay, right guys, I've bored you enough. RE state, when you're doing any electrical work, turn the ignition off, turn that off. Now I'm not quite sure what the reason is for that. Perhaps one of you guys can enlighten me. Please do. Turn that off, disconnect the positive terminal first on your battery, and so on and so forth. Okay guys, right, catch you in a bit. Bye bye. Hey presto, seats off. Key in hole, turn key, seat back pops off. Slide this piece of seat out, go put somewhere safe. To get the tank off, got to remove this from there on the fuel pump. You simply squeeze these two squares together. You pinch, they're spring loaded, pinch them in, okay, slide them off. Now I've put that up under there just so no fuel goes all over the floor. So I shouldn't actually kink that pipe. It's not going to do any favours, is it? It's a bit weird, it's a bit stiff, that pipe. Oh well, I'm just going to let that drip then. Not good. Alright, I'll keep an eye on that. Actually, get a rag. Let's put a rag there. There's me Pan-European 1100 under resto. Right, let's stick that on there. Okay, off of the post. Undo these two monkeys, two 10mm. Lift up, and you've got to undo a couple of electrical connectors. Just take a picture if you want to, just to know, so you know they go back, and then just slide the tank off. There's two rubber bungs at the front, it slides off, so up, back, up and out, and you're away. Okay, right, let's crack on. Well, the tank's off. That was a real faff. You need a tiny little screwdriver to press in that little bit there to unplug that one, and you've got a couple of breather pipes. They're a bit loose fitting, to be honest. They literally fell off. There's one there, and where's the other one? There's the other one there. That was clamped on, but honestly that clamp wasn't really doing anything. I think it was, you can see it was, no, it was up there, but it just didn't seem to be doing the job. I might replace that. I've got tiny little Jubilee clips. This was a pig. That comes off the back of the fuel pump. Well, it fits onto the bottom of the fuel pump inside. And God, that was a right faff. I had to get again a screwdriver onto there to ping it out. No, I didn't. Pressed on there to open that up. Yeah, that was it. Pressed on the bottom of there, opened that peg up, and you can see it moving slightly there. That unclipped. So we're here. We got a blank canvas now. So I'm going to run my cable up and around up for the handlebar USB. I might run up. I'm going to run another one up, or a pair. Might run a pair up this side, and just leave them coiled up under here for later on for whatever reason, for spotlights or whatever. Right, now I'm going to relocate all these gubbins so I can make space for a fuse box, which is going to go hopefully down in there somewhere. Okay, all will become apparent. Should fit. I've got a big hammer anyway. Okay, right, let's crack on. I've got to snip this off. Right, catch you in a bit. Right, carrying on. Now I've tried adjusting this piece here so that the ECU would fit in there. It doesn't work. The ECU is just too thick. By what that I mean, that depth is too great. I think there's 20mm to play with. That's near on 30. So I am going to lose this ECU right down into the valves in there. There is plenty of room actually. Once you get those the two relays off of this metal bracket here, and then turn them upside down and stick them in there, they're completely enclosed. There's nothing going to go wrong under there, and there's enough space for your ECU to sit in, and there would be enough space for this to slot in just under there and in there if this part of the loom wasn't there. Now what I've done, well, what I've noticed is that there is a 13mm nut there, and the bracket goes down, which holds on the plastic bracket there for the battery compartment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this 13mm nut, pull this out the way, undo the 10mm nut there, remove that bracket, put this loom inside and behind this, so then this is behind here, underneath there. There's plenty of room there, absolutely loads of room for it. There's no reason why it can't go in there, so it'll be coming up there. What are you after? So yeah, I'm going to try that next and see what happens. That should then slide in there nicely. Hello mister, how you doing? Say hello to everybody in YouTube land. Say hi, I'm Winston. I don't like people. Right, following on. There's the ECU. It was sat inside this little grommet insulation piece. Used to fit on these two little lugs there, slot in there. I've now removed the top lug for reasons I'll just go into. That now slots down in bottom like so. I've undone this bracket and moved the loom from here to behind it. Now I didn't want to squash the loom in too tight there for obvious reasons, so I've put a couple of fibre washers in there just to pack that out. It's about 3mm. Done the thing back up, that 10mm not there, and this is 12mm incidentally, not 13. I am a Burke. So now there's the diagnostics plug-in. So now here's our new fuse board that's going to go in, and that should sit in there quite nicely. Look at that, happy with that. So yeah, that's good. It's flush with that. It's not a problem. It's not sitting up anywhere. It's not pinching anything. So now I've got to do is just wire it. Okay, again. His face is crazy. You're mad. You're mad. Right, let's carry on. Right, next stage. For me personally, I have now installed the voltmeter and the 12 volt outlet onto the handlebars via the little clamp there. And I've run the cable down, around and under, coming out with the throttle cable, tie her up there, down through this metal bracketry, down and under, round, and I've just followed along, literally just buried it in there, down. I've gone underneath the frame, there it is, up and through and out, so that will now go onto my fuse box, live and a fuse neutral and the fuse live. And I've also run a cable down to the side, same sort of scenario, down through the bracket, down there, just hidden it along there, down underneath this bracket. There's plenty of space, look, and that will do my spotlights when they turn up eventually. So again, that will be neutral onto the neutral bar and live across a fuse live there, which only becomes live when the ignition is on. So yeah, we're getting there. So I can actually pop the tank back on now, make it look like a bike again, and then crack on with all these connections there. Okay, right, to be continued. Right, tank back on. We've got full motion of steering. That's another thing you need to make sure of, that your cable is not too tight. So when you go to carry a right or a left sharp, you've still got enough play in the cable. Now it's called flex cable because it needs to flex. Right, put my hair back on. Okay, now this little connector here runs up here and it does the tail light and the indicators in there. So you've got the 5 cores, you've got the 1, 2, you've got the neutral, tail light and brake light, and you've got the 2 cores in there which go to the indicators. Okay, so you've got 5 cables in this little block here. Now if you notice here, I mean this cable is yellow, and when it comes out of the connector block it's yellow and grey. I think that's actually yellow and grey anyway, I think. No, it's just yellow. So that yellow turns into yellow and grey there. Just check your colours when you do your connections, okay? So I'm going to strip this back here and I'm going to do some heat shrink and soldering to tap off of here with the neutral and the ignition switch for the tail light, for the tail light to come off of there to power up the relay, which powers up this. Okay, now what I was also going to do is I was going to add this little light just there, just to give an additional stop and brake, because that seems to be quite sort of hidden away under there, doesn't it, with all the panniers and that on. So I'm going to put one there. It's stop light, tail light and indicators. I'm going to extend this cable with a bit of alarm cable, which is 6 core. No, it's actually 8 core, it's 4 pair. So I should be soldering and all that onto there, and I can take that along, round, under, down, in, through, and I can also connect that into this at the same time. So I'll have the fire to fire the relay, and I'll have all the different connections to power up this little baby on the back of the top box frame. Okay, so I've just bared this cable back. I've unplugged it from the loom there. There's the loom plug. Unplugged it. Simply press that little peg down and do it. Never pull the wires. Always press the little lugs. So I've bared that back, and I've come across this little join here for the cable that I want, the red, the yellow with the grey stripe, and it goes into 2. Now there is a reason for that, quite obviously. So you got, when you put your ignition on, you get feed up this cable, which feeds your tail light. So that comes on with the headlight, and the other cable, the other yellow with a grey trace, goes down to feed the number plate light. Okay, so I'll be very carefully chipping into these and heat shrinking and putting all back together along with my alarm cable there. Right, so onwards and upwards. Right, well, I've been doing a bit of soldering. I've connected into the feed, which feeds the tail light and the indicators and the number plate light. So I've tapped into it with my new cable that I've run in which goes up and under there and around through a little hole there to this new lighty bit at the back. So now moment of truth. I've plugged him back in, so let's put some ignition on. So that would be the lights on, wouldn't it? Here we go. Okay, let's try brake lights. Oh, that's better. Right, let's try an indicator. There we go. So we've got extra indicators going on there on the left. I wonder if this sound's in sync, because sometimes it's not in sync. And the right's going with right. There we go. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And I've also soldered in the, let me just turn all this off. I've also soldered in the trigger wire to fire the relay from the tail light. So there we go. So that goes spade terminal to relay, and we'll go from there. Okay. Oh, goodness me, it's taken a while. Right, sort of getting there. Right, where do I start? That's installed. By the way, earlier on, quick side note, I said bring the cables through there. No, don't bring it through the middle bit, because there's some light on it. Yeah, that's where the tongue goes on the front seat, on the seat, goes in there. So this side and that side. Okay, that way. Right, okay, so I've taken line feed via a fuse to the relay to pin, where are we? Be easy to do it like that, 30, and then out of the other side, 87, the brown goes and feeds the fuse panel. Okay, so I've taken a neutral, or the return, or the earth, or whatever you want to call it, the negative. I've taken that up to the negative side of the fuse panel to make that live when the ignition goes on, and I've also taken a neutral down to the pin number 86 on the relay, because it needs a live and neutral to work. Okay, now my trigger cable, which you saw me soldering earlier, that goes in across to pin number 85, which is a low volt. Well, it's 12 volt, but it's no amp, there's no load there, it's just a trigger. There's the neutral, there's the load. When the lights go on, fires the relay, bang, pin 87 becomes live. I've put a spade terminal over 87A in the middle, because that becomes live with the ignition off, so I don't want that touching anything, so I've just put a loop card terminal over it anyway. So that's that sits nicely boon under there, and then that with the lid on, where are we, that way, that sits down in there in a minute, but I just want to show you. Ignition on, fires up the relay, brings this board live, and then we have reading 12.2. Let's fire her up. 14 volts. It's not bad. It was 14.1 just now, but never mind. So yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? The extra lightage at the back. Oh, happy boy. And when the ignition goes off, that all goes off as well, because that is then unenergized via the relay. Okay, well, I hope that was sort of clear. Any questions you want to ask, just ask me. I'll take a photograph in a minute of that in situ, so you can see the finished effort. This cable, which I've run up to the front as well, which is here, I'm just going to tape that up for the time being, coil it up, bit of a zip tie to that framework. That's going to be for me spotlights. I was going to use it for the temperature sender, but I'm just not going to bother moving that. What's the point? Right, 2 seconds in, and let's finish this vid off. Right, there we go. Sits down there quite nicely. A little tiny bit of a squeeze, but it's not going to, it's in there. It's not going to fall around anywhere. So if you wanted to add any more circuits, you just literally take your negatives or your neutrals to any of these other 5 screws. That one there's being used for the voltmeter, and then you pop a fuse in either one of these, or you put a fuse in there and then the brown goes onto there for another live supply to whatever you want to put on there, whether it's spotlights or whatever it may be. Okay, so there we go, it's in. I'm happy with that. Just got to put it back together, and job's a good one. Alright, well, thank you for watching. I hope that was informative enough for you. If you've got any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask. Subscribe too, if you want to my channel, if you've not already done that, and we'll be doing lots more mods in the future. Okay, thanks for watching.